Hello, welcome to another episode of me modeling in Blender. In this case, I'm not going to do so much modeling. I have been sent a model very generously by a member of one of the big SRU modding teams, Targ. I think he said he got them from some modders that model for Armor Brigade 2 that he's in contact with. And so we want to port those over into the Supreme Ruler series. So pretty much the end of this process where you're out of Blender is the same as any other Supreme Ruler model. So I've imported the file here. It came in a DAE format. It doesn't have a texture loaded, so we want to immediately go to material and we want to select on the base color an image texture. Open an image texture. Go in and select the MWrap texture that I also got sent. Then we'll just put on viewpoint shading. And yeah, so we got a nice textured MWrap right here. So we could just port this straight out into Supreme Ruler. We just convert it to the MWrap texture to DDS, point this to the DDS, and then export as OBJ, and either go into the CMO format if you want to mod it into SR2030, or you import into the old version of Blender, and then you re-export as a .x file if you want to use it in SRU or older. So we could do this, but this model is very, very nice, but it is almost 16,000 polys. Really, we should keep this around 1k, maybe 2k at a push. So what can we do with this? We could start cutting bits off the model. So there's all this underneath. You're never going to see the drive shaft, the leaf springs, the axles, anything like that. So you could just delete that, but I don't think that would be enough. I mean, the tires themselves are pretty high poly. But there is another method in Blender, which is to bake a high poly model onto a low poly model. So we can make a rough blocked out shape that looks very, very similar, but is, let's say, 1,000 polys instead of 16,000. And we could bake this very nice texture model onto that low poly model. And you will probably notice the difference, but it won't be that noticeable given how small of a scale the vehicle is on the screen. It's not like you're getting as close as you are in Blender. You're sort of like out here somewhere in reality, so you'd never really notice the fact that it's just a baked on texture. So what you want to do that, you need to create a new object. So we're going to create a cube. I'm just going to show you the principle very simply. So we'll just move this roughly in line with the vehicle. So you could almost trace the output outside of the vehicle, like so. And I'm just gonna show you with a single cube right here. I'm gonna go into edit mode. And I'm just gonna raise this up a little bit. You obviously do want to just trace the vehicle a little bit, which isn't too difficult. We'll just extrude that face a little. And we'll drop down like so. So now I've got a very simple shape. It's not perfect, like I say, this is just going to show you how to roughly do it. Now, what you must do before you can bake, you need to assign a material to this cube, like so. You need to do an unwrap, so anytime you want to rebake this, you need to re-unwrap, or if you add more polys, you need to re-unwrap and then rebake. You don't need to redo the texture, you just need to rebake it. It's very simple once you've got it set up. I'm going to take the lazy approach, just do a smart UV unwrap. Leave the settings as that because this is just to show you how it's done. I'm going to go pop into UV editing mode. You can see there's the unwrapped, very simple model. You need to create a new image, make it a 1K as per normal Supreme Ruler models. I'm just going to leave it as untitled because I'm too lazy. But I might actually call this MWrap low. So MWrap low, so we know it's the low poly. Like so. Go back to the material. Assign it as an image texture by clicking the little yellow dot here. And of course I need to save this image first, so we'll just do a save as. We'll just call it MWrap low, press save, and then we need to assign that image to the MWrap. It's a low poly model. Then we need to go back into object mode. I'm going to leave the shading on. Now, to be able to bake, you need to set the render engine not into Eevee, set into cycles. I'd recommend changing it to GPU. Use your GPU to do the baking. And this will show you up this option down here. So you do a bake. I'm going to leave it as a combined type. Select it to active. Ticked. You can do this with the cage. I'm not really too sure how well this works, but there's people who can explain baking far better than I can. And then what you need to do, you need to select the hull first, in this case, which is this nice model. So I'm going to select hierarchy, so it selects all the sub. But you can just select just that. So select the hull, and you must select this one first, and then you select the cube second, which is our low poly model, and then you just simply press bake. And then at the bottom you'll see it, think about it for a bit. Obviously the more of this I traced, the longer it would take. See, saved to an internal image, which means it's saved on this UV editing map. As you can see here, it's got a very nice UV editing map. And what I'll just do is I will hide the hull here, so you can see that it has actually baked it roughly onto the low poly model. Now, I found with these, because they're textured, the high poly model is textured on the inside as well. Sometimes it will bake that onto it. So you can, you got your choice. You can just make it a bit wider, like so. So it sits just outside the model. And like I say, I'll just show you that baked again. As it's very simple now, I've got selected. Just bake. Bake as many times as you want. Just don't forget to save the image once you've baked it. And then I can hide the hull again. And you can see I've got more of the detail on the outside. Now obviously the other thing I need to do is turn off the specular here. And I should probably do that on this, but it already has done because it's imported from some other model. And that is very simply how you do baking process. Now obviously you'll get better results the higher the poly of this model is. But for now, this just shows you roughly how it's done. I'm going to keep modeling this, but I'll do it separately on a separate video. Keep this nice and short. So hopefully that helps you out. And like I say, once you've done this step and you've got a very nice looking low poly model, you can just export it as per the other tutorials. I'll get onto that later in another video with this particular model. So that's it. Very simple. Go from high poly to low poly. You can just bake it. Now you might also want to have a bit of a play with these settings. I think I did something with the cage on the one model, so it did something different with the lights. But yeah, if this has helped you out, leave a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and as always, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.